games. Okay, well, we got 6:30. I'll get started. Thank you. As Kelsey said, I am Brian. I'm glad to be with you tonight. This version of this presentation I just put in the chat. We'll make sure you get later on too. Some of the links are live on there to some resources that'll help you out. There's my website where you can contact me, and I'd be glad to help you with things. And there's also information about books and things like that. We are talking about games today, and we're specifically talking about low prep games, or games that you could play at any time and have ready at any time. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you want to have a scrap piece of paper and a pencil ready, we could use that for one of the games. Some of these games we'll be able to try out tonight. Some of them I'll just have to show you because they don't necessarily work in this context, but I'll explain them for you. So games are a great way to provide input, review key components, increase class engagement. That's what we're going to explore today. Play some games a little bit, discuss how to most effectively use them. A few things before we get started, a few keys to successfully using games. Games should be played in the target language. This is actually, and we'll get into with a few of these, is actually a way to increase your target language use. I've done some workshops recently about target language and trying to use our target language as much as we can. Sometimes games actually help us establish that culture of using the target language. So they're good for that. They should be a source of input, or they can be a source of input. They can be review, or they can be output, or a combination. It's just important that we have a deliberate purpose for what we're doing. Are we trying to get some input? Are we trying to review something? Is it an output thing where we're doing an informal assessment or even a formal assessment? Although we probably wouldn't do formal assessments with games, but a lot of times we do informal assessments by seeing how our students do with them, just so we have a deliberate purpose for what we're doing. Games work best when all students are engaged at all times. I'll show you in some of the things that we look at today. Some of them are really good for making even if not everybody is participating actively at every moment, they are engaged with what's going on. This is big for me. Games are a part of class and not a break from class. For me, classroom culture is really important. And I don't like to say things like, hey, if you work really hard at this, then your reward is we get to play a game. Because even though obviously students are going to enjoy games more than some of the other things that we do, I want them to understand that everything is a part of class. And when we do a game, it's not a break from class. It's maybe more engaging and more fun, but it's a part of class. It has a purpose. Everything has a purpose, and there's a purpose for playing games. And we can't play games all the time, but everything has a purpose. And so for me, that's important. And then silly rewards. I have candy in my room all the time, and they have magical powers as motivation for playing games. So what we want to look at tonight specifically, as I said, is some what I call closers, because they're games or activities that if you have 10 or 15 minutes left in class, you can pull it out and play it. You can do it. And I think, as it says here, it's good to have a repertoire of games that can be played in class with little to no prep. They work well as closers to class. So again, going back to classroom culture, one of the key components of classroom culture for me is bell to bell, is having class, getting used to, getting established that routine that every day we're going to start at the beginning of class, the first bell, and we're going to do something in Spanish until that last bell. So going bell to bell is part of classroom culture. It becomes an expectation. Students get used to it and they expect it. And it feels weird if we don't do something for the entire class. And the thing about language is it's not that we're filling time. There's always something we can be doing that's valuable. If we're listening to a song, if we're playing a game, if we're talking about what you're going to do after school today, and we're doing it in the target language, that's all value. That's all input, and it's practice, and it's all good. So we're going to fill every minute of every class. So these games are great maybe after a quiz or writing an essay, or you finish something and you have 10 to 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left, and you want to do one of these games. They can also work for the entire class time if you want, but I like these ones because they require little to no prep. Now, they might take some prep when you first create some things, but then at any moment you could pull these out and use them. So let me show you the first one. The first one we call in Spanish la silla caliente, the hot seat. This is probably the one we use most often, and I've demonstrated this on a few other workshops, but let's go into it now. Hot seat, very simple very fun, provides input and examples of circumlocution. So you probably know what circumlocution is. It's that idea of talking around something. If we come to a word in our language that we don't know, or we need a word and we don't know how to say it, we have to develop the skill of being able to talk around, to say what we do know and help and get people to understand what we're trying to say, circumlocution. So this game is actually an example of how that works. It's a few students play, but all students are engaged. It's a great way for the teacher to measure processing abilities. This is, for me, during the course of a year, especially with students that I have for the first time, I see the difference when we do this at the beginning of the year versus when we do it in the middle of the year and then at the end of the year. Their processing speed and their processing ability and even the vocabulary that they can use or that I can use and they can understand grows so much, and the game changes because of their skills. And so it's a great way for me as a teacher to measure where they are and how they can process. It is also a great source of input because in the way that we usually do it, the teacher is doing lots of talking and the students are just listening and then participating. And as I mentioned, it's an effective way to increase target language use. This is one a few weeks ago, I did a couple presentations on target language use and increasing our target language use. And this is one activity that I gave to teachers and said, hey, use this tomorrow, use this next week. Regardless of what your plans were, this is a great way to use the target language and establish that expectation and that routine of using your language. So what happens? A very simple game. There are 5, and you can modify this, but this is how we usually do it. 5 English words are projected on the screen. Students sit facing away from the screen. The teacher describes the words in the target language and the students try to guess. So they're trying to guess what they are in English as I'm talking in Spanish. No proper nouns or gestures are permitted. Now, when you communicate with somebody, you do use proper nouns, you do use gestures. But for this game, I want them listening to the words that I say. So I don't use names. I don't use my hand. I try not to use my hands. 1 student can race against the clock, or 2 students can compete or represent teams. So here's how it works. My classroom is set up like this all the time. We sit in a semicircle. There's more than this. This is just an example, 25 to 30 seats around a semicircle. If you have desks and rows, that's fine. You can still do this. You just might have to stand in between where the desks are. Now, you can divide into teams, like maybe this half of the room is one team and this half of the room is the other team, or sophomores are one team and juniors are another team. And 1 person from each team sits in these seats. Here is my projector. Here's where I have the 5 English words projected. I can see them. Everybody else can see them. The 2 students who are playing can.
Try one more time. Sometimes that fixes it. So let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me know if that happens again.
Whoops.
So yeah, I'm not sure where we got lost, but we sit in the semicircle here. 2 players represent teams, or they can just be individuals. Here are the words projected. I can see it. I describe it to them in Spanish. They try to guess in English. The thing about this game that's great is all these students who are sitting around the room are not necessarily participating, but they're getting great input too, because they're seeing the words and they're hearing me. And it's a lot of fun because it's just funny sometimes what they guess and what they don't guess. And so it's good input for everybody, not just the people playing. So with this presentation that I put in the chat and you'll get later on, these are some resources that are great to play this game. Now that says Cia Caliente, but the lists are in English because again, I put the words in English because it's the idea is circumlocution. We're trying to get students to figure out words that they probably wouldn't know in their target language. So most of the words on the list are things that they wouldn't know. So maybe you want to adapt this, but these are yours to have if you want and use. But I have tons of these lists and I have them ready. So it takes a few minutes to make them. Again, you can use these, but it takes a few minutes to make a list like this. And actually you'd be surprised at how hard it is to sit down and think of words that your students don't know. But I have these lists ready at any time. We can pull them out and we can play this game. There are a few different lists here. Different things, taxes, earthquake, graveyard, etc. And then the other thing that I've found recently, the other thing that I found recently is this random word generator, which is actually just randomwordgenerator.com. You can set 5 words, create generate a random list of words, and you have 5 words here. Now, you never know what those words are going to be, like evoke. Like, I don't know what I could say to my students to get them to say evoke. Fraction. So when you create your own list, you know that's words that you could probably describe. But the random word generator is an idea too, if you want to do that and have them try to guess what they are. So we'll play this in a second, but let me go over a couple things real quickly. Again, it provides input, example circumlocution. A few students play, all students are engaged. It's a great way to measure processing ability. It's an effective way to increase target language use. There are a few alternatives. What the questions I get sometimes are, okay, good. Can I have my students be the person talking and describing? You can, yes, you can have this be a student. You can put students in pairs and have them do that. That's good. When that happens, it's not necessarily an input activity anymore. Then it's more of a practice activity, which is fine. The other thing is when you as the teacher do this, you can control what's being said. You can control kind of the whole engagement of the entire activity. Because when students do it with each other, they're going to break those rules and they're going to use their hands and they're going to use proper nouns and they're going to use English. Like I'll have students doing it, talking to each other, and they'll be like, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say this word in Spanish? And they say the word in English. And I'm like, your partner just heard you say that. Like you just ruined the game. So anyway, to control it, it's best if you do it, but it is something you can have students do. The other question is, can we do the words in the target language? You can absolutely do those words in the front screen in your target language. And that would be then words that they know, obviously vocabulary words that they know, and you can do it that way. And that works as well. And then the other alternative I have, excuse me one second, is cards. Maybe I don't have them. It's okay. There they are. So I have these cards, which is the same idea, but they're on a card. So then the teacher talks to the entire class and they try to guess. And these ones I have in Spanish. I just pull out a few cards and students try to guess what they are. And I just describe it to them that way. These I made when I was student teaching in 2003, so almost 20 years ago. And I still use them for games now. So that's just kind of the opposite of it. Okay, so let me see something here quickly. Are there 2 volunteers that want to try to play this game? Brave volunteer. We can do it in English. We can do it in Spanish. I don't know if you want to raise your hand or maybe just unmute yourself. Okay, I see. Okay, was that Alexis? Okay, Alexis is going to play. And is there one other person that wants to play?
I want to play.
Okay, and who is that?
I'm Laura.
Laura. So Laura and Alexis. Okay, well, we're going to
play in Spanish.
What do you want to do in Spanish? Or you want to do it in English?
In Spanish.
I mean, it's more fun to do it in Spanish.
Okay, you both know Spanish. I mean, you're not French teachers or you know Spanish, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do, and so this is a little different than class because not everybody's going to see it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so we got Alexis and we got Laura. Okay, and I'm going to open one of these and I'm not going to do one that we're looking at. And okay. So I'm seeing this. I'll tell you if you get it right. Are we ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. En español.
So Brian, I'll see the words, but Laura won't, right?
No, neither one of you will see the words.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You're going to say the words.
Yeah. So this is kind of simulating what happens in class. The 2 of you would both be facing me. Neither one of you would see the words, and then whoever gets it right.
Got it.
So you
should
two
we
are
just
competing.
yell it? Oh, sorry.
I was saying you guys are competing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And
So
the words
should we-
are in Spanish or in English?
The words are in English. I'm going to speak Spanish,
Okay.
but the words are in English.
Okay.
Okay.
And should we just yell it out or should we
Just
raise our-
yell it out. Yep. Just yell it out.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Es una criatura que vive en el mar. Es parte persona, parte pez.
Mermaid.
Mermaid, Alexis, that's one. I gotta look at my list again. I'm trying to watch you too. Okay, es antes de un examen, ¿cómo estás?
Nervioso.
Nervioso.
Good. Yeah, that was Laura. That was
Nervios.
nervous. Yeah, nervous.
Nervous.
Good. Okay, es un animal que vive en el mar. También es muy inteligente y muy rápido.
Delfín.
Dolphin.
Yeah, good. Delfín, dolphin. Good.
She got it.
Es el líder de un estado. Es como un presidente, pero de un estado.
Gobernador.
Governor.
Governor. Good. I think Laura's got 3. And one more. Es un deporte en que los participantes corren por 3 millas.
Oh, 5K.
Okay.
5K road race.
Sí. Es un deporte de escuela. No sé si solo existe en Ohio.
Oh, it's a president's fitness test?
No. Es un deporte. Los estudiantes corren 3.1 millas.
It's like a marathon.
No,
No,
I
it's
don't know.
maybe you don't have this. Maybe we only have this in Ohio. Anybody else know?
cross country?
It's cross country. Yeah,
Cross
good. It's
country.
cross country. Yep, good. That was a tough one. All right, good. Are there 2 other people who want to try it?
It's really
I'll try, but it can't be in Spanish.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's Leslie
Yep.
and
I'll try it, but I can't do it in Spanish either.
perfect. So that's good. So I will just do it in English. Is that Jean?
Jeannie, yeah.
Jeannie and Leslie. Okay. All right, Jeannie and Leslie. Here we go. I'll just do it in English.
Okay.
And we'll imagine this was in our target language. Okay. This is where students go if they've misbehaved during the day.
Detention.
Detention. Good. Leslie. This is when 2 people go to a restaurant or the movies, but they've never met before.
A date.
Blind
Blind
date.
They've never,
Blind
oh,
date.
blind date. Was that Leslie first, I think? This is a group of students who make decisions for school.
Student government.
Mm-hmm.
Student council.
Student council. Good. Okay, this is a person who is very bad and very red. He lives below the earth.
Oh, the devil.
The devil. Good. I'm trying to do this like in simple language, like I would do
I was
if I
going
were
to
doing.
say that could have gotten really political. That was,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's do one more.
That'd be orange then.
Yeah.
Ugh.
This. Oh no, I just lost. Okay, this is a person that flies in outer space.
An astronaut.
Astronaut. There you go. Good. Want to try one more? Are there 2 more I want to try? We'll do one more example.
Sure. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'll mute now.
Thank you. Merci.
Uh-huh. Anybody else want to try?
I'll try.
Okay, Martha. Is that Martha?
Yes.
Okay,
Trying to find my.
there we go. And
Oh, nobody dares to take me on.
I'll do it.
Okay, that is Kristen.
Oh, thanks, Kristen.
All right, Martha and Kristen. What language are we?
I'm fine with
Spanish.
Espanol.
Espanol. Okay, Espanol. All right, let me grab another list. See, a lot of these are okay. Okay. See, okay. Let me grab. Yeah. All right, here we go. En español. All right. Es un aparato que se usa para ver cosas muy pequeñas.
Magnifying glass.
Microscope.
Microscope. Good. And I just use my hands. I shouldn't use my hands. ¿Dónde vive el rey, la reina y la princesa?
En la Castillo.
Yeah, good.
Oh.
Castillo, castle. And again, these would be words that students would be saying in English because they may not know them in English. Número 3. Es un baile muy importante en la escuela. Está
Prom.
con-
El prom.
Otro. Está conectado con un
Homecoming.
partido. Homecoming, sí, muy bien. Es cuando una persona habla con Dios en la iglesia.
Pray.
Pray. Muy bien. Vamos 2-2. Y es como una bicicleta, pero para niños.
Triciclet.
Sí. Tricycle. Very good. That's it. So again, we have those lists. Good job. People can represent teams or individuals. That is the hot seat. Again, very, very simple, but a great way to fill in time, a great way to get informal evaluation of how well students are processing. And you can see some of these lists that I have. You can use these lists. Some of them are, I also made some recently that I tried to make really, really complex for some of my upper level students. And it's just so complex that I couldn't describe it in any language. Any questions on that right now before we move on?
Just, did you say that you will share this with us?
Yes, it is in the chat. If you go all the way near the beginning of the chat, it's there. If not, we'll share it again later.
My apologies. I had a hard time connecting to Zoom, so I wasn't here at the beginning.
Yep, no problem.
Same.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll
if
share
you
it
could
again in the chat now, just so we don't forget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. That was awesome. And it's so simple.
It's so simple.
Easy. I love it.
And the thing is, the thing is you create them and you create the list and you have them. And then like, if you have kids for a few years, you can go back and use the same list because nobody remembers what they were. And then the other thing that we do that's fun sometimes is I will sit in the hot seat and sometimes against another student just for fun, or sometimes I'll have them describe them to me. And I've made so many lists and some of them are from so long ago that I don't remember. As long as it's not one I've seen today, I don't remember and I can play it as well. Or if we go to that random word generator, I can have students bring things up that I've never seen and I can play too, and they can do it themselves. So, but again, very simple, good to have those on hand for any time. Here's another one. I call Categorias, which basically is categories. This sheet here, I have probably 20 or so printed off at all times in the cabinet in my classroom. And it's basically it's categories. If you've played the game's categories, you could actually come up with much more detailed list. I just always have this one because again, it's ready. It didn't take any prep because I have it. Basically, we come up with a letter and I give students 2 minutes and they have to come up with words that begin with that letter in all of these categories: profession, place, thing, animal, food, verb, adjective, clothing, part of the body, appropriate part of the body, transportation. And then what I really like about this game, so I give them 2 minutes, and then when we go over it, there's a lot of target language use. We talk about what did you have, and so if you have something that nobody else had or no other group had, you get 2 points. If you have something and another group has the same thing, you get 1 point. And we go through them. We calculate the points. We play as many rounds as we can. This one takes a little longer. It doesn't take time to prep, but it is one that you could play for 25, 30 minutes in class. Maybe we'll come back and try this one in a few minutes. Any questions on this? And again, this is available within this presentation. You can have it, make up your own or adapt it or use this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do they use the translator, or they need to be in Spanish, the word, or?
Yeah, they do need to be in Spanish. So this is a game that gets easier the longer students are in Spanish. The more and more words they have, the more vocabulary they have, it's easier. But it's sometimes it's surprising how much they do remember and how much they can pull out when we play these games. This game.
I have one more question too. Did you say it was individual or group or
Group.
pairs?
I usually do it in groups. You can do it individually. The thing is, so here's the thing with that. If you have a lot of students in class, when you go over it, if it's individual, that would just take too long. So if you have like 5 or 6 groups, then because I'm going to say, all right, every group, I'm going to say, what was your profession? And they'll say like carpenter, chef, whatever, carpintero, cocinero, conductor. And then we'll go to the next one and they'll all share their words. So it takes a little while to go over it. So it's best not to have too many. Other questions? This is one that when we go to play it, sometimes they're not super excited about it. I think just because there's a piece of paper and they're like, oh, this can't be fun if it's a piece of paper. Then when we get into it, they'll have a lot of fun with it. So
And it's nice they can work together because then they can sort of help each other out
Yeah.
too.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's
they
more
do.
Proactive in a way
Help.
too.
Yeah.
How big of are the teams that you usually play with?
Three or four
Okay.
kids in a team. Yeah. Just because if you get bigger than that, then some can kind of just zone out and not participate. But they do usually help each other pretty well.
Thank you.
And I don't
I-
allow, I don't allow proper nouns. So like for places, they can't say like Applebee's or Tennessee, but they could say like the library, the church, the post office, thing like that. And they can't use the same word in any two categories, which are all rules that you could change. You can make your own house rules for that. Sorry, was there another question?
Yes. How do you prevent the use of technology while
Say that-
they are playing this?
Say that. What? Can you repeat that, please?
How do you prevent the use of technology while they are playing
Ooh.
this game?
Yeah, I just watch them, and the other groups watch each other. And if someone pulls a phone out or something, I try to just tell them it doesn't count or disqualify them for that round or something. Yeah, the thing is with games, a lot of these games is students really they don't like to do a lot of cheating because they enjoy it more when they are playing fair and everybody's having fun. But yeah, that's a good point. Watch for phones. Okay. All right, let me show you another one. This one,
Can I tell you something?
yeah, go ahead.
This game, remember a game that I used to play at the school and when I was a child, that was without paper, that you create the categories and then you go letter by letter
Uh-huh.
and you get the points, like 5 points if another put the same, 10 points if it's
Uh-huh.
final, 20 points if nobody get this category. Well,
Yeah.
I don't remember the name. That,
Yeah. And there are actually a couple
without
others
this-
that are similar.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of those like childhood type games, camp games, if you can do them and get a lot of language in, they're great to use in class. Here's one that I always just called 100 or 100. Recently, students have told me that it's called Sparkle. So if you've ever played Sparkle, I guess that's a name for it. But I've done it a lot with numbers. Make a list of numbers or a sentence divided into single words. Students stand and go in order. Each student can say 1, 2, or 3 items from the list. The student who says the last one must be seated. That sounds way more complicated than it is. Let me show you. So again, this is our setup. It would work if you have desk and you would just kind of snake through, but we're going to go around the classroom in order. So this student, then this one, then this one, then this one. And usually I'll project what we're going to say. So we do it a lot of times with numbers. So from 10 to 100. And every student can say either 1 or 2 or 3 of the numbers. So maybe student 1 here says 10, 20, 30. Student 2 says 40. This one says 50, 60. The student says 70. The student says 80, 90. And this student is stuck with 100 and they have to sit down. We start again here. Again in Spanish. 10, 20, 30, 40. Oops. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. The person that says 100 sits down and we go around and around and around, eliminating people. So they are engaged with the game. They're trying to eliminate their friends or not get eliminated or whatever. At the same time, we're getting lots and lots and lots and lots of reps of whatever language you want. You can do it with 100 through 1,000. You can do it with words. So I've done it with this before. These are a few different phrases we can use to close out a conversation. So now instead of saying numbers, they're going to say words, and you could use any sentence you want. So this one says, ha sido un placer hablar contigo. ¿Qué tal si seguimos hablando mañana? Ojalá que tengas un buen. The person that says dia sits down. You can use any phrase you want, anything that you could project it or whatever, and just you go around 1, 2, or 3 things, and whoever says the last one has to sit down. Again, it's not so much input practice as it is speaking practice, which is why I like doing it with numbers, because pronouncing numbers is something that's difficult for students in Spanish, and so we get lots of practice doing it with this game. I have this ready at all times. We have 5-10 minutes left. I can pull this up and we can play it very quickly. Questions on that? Okay. Here's another one that I call vocabulary tennis. And basically, teams go back and forth identifying words within the category until they can think of no more, or someone repeats what was already said. It can be played in teams as well. It pretty much is in teams. So what I do is I split the classroom in half. This is one team. This is another team. And we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I give them a category. So maybe I'll say clothing, obviously in our target language, and we'll go back and forth. So he says shirt, hat, boot, belt, pants, shorts, socks, hat. Oh no, if he says hat, somebody else already said hat, and the other team gets a point. If he can't think of anything in 5 seconds, the other team gets a point. And then maybe we'll say, okay, let's do animals, and we'll start where we left off, and we'll say duck, frog, tiger, shark, dog, cat, mouse, frog. Oh, somebody already said frog. The other team gets a point. Very, very, very simple, just a simple vocabulary game. The thing that I really like about this game is you can't disengage. Like, you have to pay attention and be ready and listen to what other people are saying. And it's going to come, everybody participates in it. You have to pay attention. Yeah, so very simple. I call it tennis, and lots of if you go on this, if you open this up when you have this presentation, there's an examples of, oh, this is in Spanish, but you could use any language, but examples of categories: animals, professions, drinks, transport, sports, fruits, countries where they speak Spanish, whatever. And you don't have to project what the category is. You can make up and tell them any category that you want and just go back and forth. Questions on that? Okay. And then let me show you a couple more. All right. So this is kind of similar to that. This is one we just started doing this year. It doesn't take a lot of prep, but it is a little complicated for the teacher. There is actually a game that you can buy at the store that's called Tock Boom. And so I made this version of it in Spanish. And basically what's going to happen is you have categories, words that start with C, Spanish speaking countries, excuses to not go to the movies, professions, jobs, whatever. And we're going to pass a ball around class. Okay. So we have a ball here. Now here's what we got to do. What I usually do is I pass out little slips of paper. So this person is red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, and so on, so on, so on. This is very similar to the old game that was called Catchphrase. And all the reds are one team and all the blues are another team. And you pass a ball. And basically you have to say something within the category and then you pass the ball. So let's say the category is words that begin with C. And so this student says coche, carpintero, correr, cantar, cine, and so on. And you're passing the ball around. When the timer goes off, the person holding the ball loses the point. The other team gets a point. So the timer is what makes this fun. In the game Tock Boom, the board game, they actually have this like bomb looking thing, and it's a timer and you pass it around, but you never know when it's going to go off. So what I found to do that is this site, and there's probably lots of them, with a random timer. So I take this random timer and you can set the minimum, between 15 and 45 seconds. So I say, all right, the category is going to be countries where they speak Spanish. First person takes the ball. I start the timer. It starts going and they go around the room. So they say Venezuela, Argentina, Costa Rica, Colombia, España, Mexico, Guatemala, Ecuador. And this is the suspense of when it's going to go off. Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, El Salvador, Cuba. What else? Panama, Honduras, Nicaragua, And there it goes. Sorry. All right. So, and then you never know when this, so that one actually went pretty long, but it could go off in 15 seconds. You never know when it's going to go off. So whenever that timer goes off, whoever is holding the ball, passing it around, the other team gets a point. So again, it's so what happens is for the teacher, what I usually have to do is I have this open, I show them the category, and then I go start this timer, and then we go back and we start passing the ball around. And some of them are long, like this one is excuses to not go to the movies with Diego. So they have to come up with longer things like tengo que hacer mi tarea, or mi perro está enfermo, or whatever. They have to come up with longer excuses. Some of them are simple, some words that end with this or whatever. So this one takes a little bit of prep in preparing these categories. But again, it's something that now I have. Time went off again. It's something that now I have to use at any time. So that, again, a little complicated, but it's TikTok boom. What do I call that one? Any questions on that? Or any of those? Okay. Let me show you a couple more. We may not get through all of these. That's fine. This one, headbands. I don't know if you've ever played headbands. We call it little papers on the head. Again, you can play it at any time without any prep. What I use now, if you do this as an entire group, basically what happens in this game, and there is a description of headbands right here, is you put something on your head with the identity of a person or an animal or a character or whatever. You don't know what it is, and you're trying to figure out your own identity. You can play it in a group where everybody has that paper on their head and everybody's trying to figure out what their identity is, but that can take a while. So if you only have 10 minutes left, what I usually do is take like 4 volunteers. They sit here. I take students from class who take a piece of paper and they write the name of somebody that we would all know. It can be Joe Biden. It can be Batman. It could be Abraham Lincoln. It could be somebody fictional like Walter White or whatever. And these students put it on their head and they're trying to figure out who they are. And then a lot of times I'll put this up to give them ideas of things that they can ask. And it's all yes or no questions. They have to ask yes or no questions. If the answer to their question is yes, they can ask another one. If the answer is no, then we go on to the next person. So this student has on his head and he says, am I an actor? Yes. Do I live in the United States? No. So we go to the next student who says, am I alive? Yes. Am I more than 20 years old? Yes. Do I have any kids? No. Next student says, okay, am I famous? Yes. Do I play sports? Yes. Do I live in Spain? No. We go to the next student. So they're trying to figure out what their identity is based on what's stuck. I usually take a piece of tape and just stick it to their head. And the first person to get it right wins candy or whatever. Okay. And then let me show you this one.
With that one, do you have the kids make up the people?
I usually do, yes. So maybe I take, and there's 4 students up here who are going to play, and there's 4 students here that are going to write down the identities on those papers. Yep. Now you could, as a teacher, you could have them all ready to go or whatever, but I usually have the students come up because the students are better. They're funnier at coming up with things that are funny. Obviously, make sure they don't do things that are inappropriate, but
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
good. Other questions there? Okay.
Sorry, quick question. Are
Yep.
all 4 people wearing the same identity?
No. No. So that's why you have 4 different students create the identity. So maybe like this student writes Joe Biden and sticks it on his head. And this student writes Bugs Bunny and sticks it on her head. And this student writes, Batman, puts on his head. And or somebody from class that, they write Jennifer, stick it on her head. Okay. This one is kind of like a word game. Porque or why. Basically, I don't know if students go back and forth, adding to a series of events until they no longer can repeat, or till they no longer can or repeat what has already been said. I think I put some examples here in English. So basically, we start with a phrase. These are in Spanish. Yeah, okay. So I'll put it in English. There's a bear in the kitchen. And so you can have 2 individuals, you can have 2 groups, you can have 3 groups or whatever. So there's a bear in the kitchen. So the question is why. So I'll say there's a bear in the kitchen. In the first group, I'll say why. And they'll say, Because he broke in the window. I'll say why? Because he was hungry. Why? Because he didn't eat any fish. Why? Because there are no fish in the river. Why? Because the river dried up. Why? Because if you can't think of anything, you're out of. The other team gets a point. That was pretty complicated because that was in English. I don't know if your students would be saying that in their target language. The principal is not here today. Why? Will Smith won a Nobel Prize. Tom Brady's wife left him. Classes are canceled on Monday, etc. So you just go back and forth until you can't say why anymore. Similar one is fortunately, unfortunately. In Spanish, desafortunadamente, afortunadamente. The weather is beautiful today. So one group would say, unfortunately, we have to be in school. And then the other group would say, fortunately, we are going to eat pizza today. The other group would say, unfortunately, the pizza is old. Fortunately, if they can't think of anything, the other group gets a point. So these are probably more, the more advanced students can do a little more with these type of things. But again, just a simple word game. I have these things ready to go at any point, and I can pull them out and students can play. We can play those. Okay. Let's do maybe one more. We used to call this game Fruit Basket. I don't know why. In this game, we're going to form a circle. One student's going to stand in the middle of the circle and make a true statement. And this can be very simple. You can do with low-level students. Anyone in the circle for whom that statement is true must get up and find another seat. The student in the middle tries to steal an available seat. So this is one, we're in a circle. Everybody's in a chair. There's one person in the middle. There's not a chair for this person. And again, you can guide this and give them, like, maybe you're just going to say, yo tengo, I have, and that's it. They have to use tango phrases, or I like, or I hate. You can guide it and make it very simple, or you can leave it open-ended, depending on the level and depending on your students. So this person says, I have a dog. I have a dog. Anybody in the circle who also has a dog has to get up and find a new chair. So maybe this person has a dog, this person has a dog, this person has a dog. So they get up and they have to move to a different seat. And then this guy is going to try to steal one of their chairs. Whoever is left without a chair is in the middle now. And they maybe are like, I like Justin Bieber. Anybody who likes Justin Bieber has to get up, find a new chair. This person tries to steal their chair. I hate macaroni and cheese. Anybody else who hates macaroni and cheese has to find a new seat. It can get a little rambunctious. It's very engaging. It's a great way to practice some guided phrases. Again, everybody's participating. It's fun. It's a really popular game with students. You just have to be careful they don't push each other out of the way and hurt each other. Yes, go ahead, Laura.
So the one that have the same statement need to move to another chair or go in the middle?
Move to another chair. So what happens? So like say this student here is going to go look for another chair. The person in the middle is going to steal a seat and somebody's going to be left without a seat and they're going to end up in the middle.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Like
I
musical
don't mean to
chairs.
state the obvious. So all the seats, so the number of seats in the circle are filled. All seats
exactly.
are filled. It's like a
Exactly.
musical chairs kind of
It's
thing.
like music. It's musical chairs.
Okay.
Yep. It's musical chairs, but it's in a circle and we're involving language in it instead of music.
And it was called Fruit Basket because originally you would call it fruit and everybody would be named a fruit. And so you go around apple, orange, banana, whatever. And then if you called Fruit Basket, everybody would have to change seats.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can do it that way as well and take target words and pass out those target words to students and then have a word that the students say that everybody has to move.
What I've done this with, and I teach Spanish 3, 4, and 5. So I teach upper levels. I've done it this way with like never have I ever. And students have to say something that they have never done. So this student says, I have never flown on an airplane. And that for this one, we might flip it and say anybody who has flown on an airplane has to find another seat. And then the next person says, I have never seen the movie Forrest Gump. And anybody who has seen Forrest Gump has to move. That's again, you don't have to go that complex. You can go very, very simple with it, but get students moving. Now, here's what happened. I haven't done this game in a while because I have a classroom on the second floor. And I did this game last time I did it with the Never Have I Ever. And the students had a great time and it was very engaging and we practiced language and it was great, but they got a little rowdy. And the classroom below me, the teacher didn't really like that so much. And so I stopped playing. And then we got with COVID and coming back and being distance, it was not a good game to play either. But if you're in a situation where you're not going to bother anybody below you, or you have students that behave better than mine, or don't get quite into it, it's a good game to play. Any other questions on that? Okay. Was there one there? Okay. Let me show you. Let's show you two more. And this is not really much to this. One is rock, paper, scissors, but instead of playing rock, paper, scissors, you take and you make any other word. So we did this one. We were just trying to learn these words for monkey and rabbit and bird. And we did signs. So like this was rabbit and this was bird and this was monkey, instead of doing just rock, paper, scissors. And it's simple and it's silly, but it was a good way to learn these vocabulary because as you did it, you had to look back up here and know what was what to know what beat what. So if somebody did monkey and somebody did rabbit, the monkey would win. It's silly. I did it once with the word for cast and Band-Aid and crutches. And so one thing beats another, and it's just a good way to get a few words in vocabulary. And then the last one here is this again is like a silly camp game. Don't laugh, like you can't laugh, you can't smile. So you take a phrase, a question and an answer in your target language. Again, it can be very simple, or it can be as complicated as you want. One student asks the others who must respond without smiling or laughing. So here's an example in English. I want you to be my friend. And so the one student who is the one playing is going to go around and talk to all the other students in the class or any other student in the class and say in their target language, I want you to be my friend. The student that they talk to must respond, I'm sorry, I can't be your friend because my cat gets jealous or gets very jealous, but they have to do it without laughing. If they laugh, they become the person that's in the middle trying to get other people to laugh. This person who's saying the original phrase can make silly voices, they can make silly faces, whatever. They just have to make sure they say the phrase right and they can't touch other students. You can't touch anybody, but you can make silly voices, silly faces. And so again, it's one of those games where they are having fun and trying to laugh and not laugh and be silly, but they're also getting lots and lots of repetitions of some key phrases. Like when we do this in Spanish, this is actually subjunctive. Quiero que seas mi amigo. This is a good way to get lots of repetitions of a subjunctive phrase, which can be pretty complicated. And then the response. So, okay. So what do we have any questions about any of those last few or questions in general? I don't know if there's anything in the chat right now.
So I'm sorry, what was the signals that you did for the stone, scissors, papers? Let's say you do the crotches and everything. So for the, yeah, so how do they do that one?
The signals?
Yeah.
We did, I think for JSO, for cast, we did this.
Okay.
For curita, I think we did this.
Okay.
And then for muletas, we like you were standing on crutches.
Okay.
So,
and
yeah,
what
good.
about for
That's
the
a good
rabbit?
question.
What about for the rabbit?
Can you see?
Okay.
Oh, just did that. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. And again, it's just silly, but it's like you're getting that gesture and you're getting the word connected to that gesture. After we played these games, like this, kids never forgot these words for these things.
No, and you can also adjust it to any vocabulary words that you want. You just have to put your own signals.
Yep. And I really think a lot of these things, because they're so engaging, they are part of what creates that classroom culture. It's just engaging. It's fun. And again, if we're doing it as a closer, when we had 15 minutes, we're not just sitting around looking at our cell phones. We're actually doing something that's valuable and fun. And it's establishing that idea that we do something from bell to bell every day in this class. And that's important. Other questions? Okay. I do have, again, in this presentation, this is my website. If you have questions, you want to contact me, there's information about these books, lots of Spanish books for Spanish teachers if you're interested in that. Let me check the chat here.
I think we got most of the questions from the chat,
Okay.
but lots of great feedback and lots of people who are going to be using the games this week.
Yeah. And again, take this presentation. Oh, sorry. Take the presentation, some of those links for like the Cia Caliente game. It's right there. You can use it right away. You could use it tomorrow. That paper for the categories game, you could print out and use right away or adapt it. So some resources here for you to use.
And I shared the link to the presentation one more time, just in case anyone didn't grab it yet.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Brian, do you have any plans to get your books translated to French?
No, do you want to translate them to French?
Oh, good question. I'd like them to be translated, so sure.
Yeah. No, not right now. A few of them would work though, I think, because a few of them would work in any language. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, we need more French books.
Yep.
We are adding, sorry to take away, they're not going to be by Brian, but we are adding some readers to the Notre Histoire, to our French library this summer as well. So there will be a few more for the coming school year.
Great. That's
Awesome.
Amazing. I love that. Keep going.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
super helpful. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions or Kelsey, anything to add?
Nope. If that's it, then definitely let us know. I'm sure you all know how to contact us, but you can reach us by phone or email right from the contact page on our website. And like I said, this video will be available by Monday at the latest, but probably before then. And we'll have the presentation along with it as well, if you wanted to share it with any other teachers or anything like that.
All right.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end it, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being
Bye-bye.
here on a
Fabulous
school night.
ideas. Thanks so much.